Hello everyone, we are back with Fact Time. Thanks for your patience. It has been a little bit of time since we've done one of these. With everything that's been going on lately, I myself have been very busy. But we're back, and I've got some thoughts I wanted to share. A lot of what I'm hearing is people are looking still for things to do in the pandemic and quarantine worlds now. You know, in most places things have relaxed a little bit, but you know, a hobby is still good, and people have some ability to move around a little bit in some places and not in other places. So I'm going to suggest one of my favorite hobbies that I have loved for many years and which you can do wherever you are, whatever country you're in, whatever continent you're on, for free. That is bird watching. I know, a lot of you can say, oh, birds, I don't like pigeons, I don't like seagulls, they're not really called that by the way, but anyway, I don't like, the crows wake me up in the morning, and chickens are annoying, and you hear all these kind of things, and I want to challenge you to think about birds in a different way. Birds are everywhere. They're a part of our natural ecosystems from Antarctica to the Arctic, every hemisphere. You know, if you talk about the northern, southern hemisphere, the eastern, the western, they're all over. Every continent, every country, you've got birds. If you're in the middle of Los Angeles, you've got birds. And trust me, it's not just pigeons, gulls, and sparrows. You know, little house sparrows that you see commonly there. There's a whole bunch of other things if you just take a moment to actually watch and look. If you are a researcher stuck in Antarctica at the moment, as you know, stuck, why do I say stuck? Because I'd love to be there. If you're there, you have penguins. Most of the places that a human is going to be in Antarctica is probably going to have some penguins and some other birds there, so you've got them there. If you're in Alaska, here in the US as well, you can have birds all over the place. If you are in Honduras, if you are in China, if you are in Russia, if you are in Australia, if you are in France, you've got birds everywhere, okay? So don't tell me you don't have birds, all right? You may need to, if you want to try this hobby, you may need to adjust your feelings about birds, because there's this, kind of like what I commented on earlier, there's this feeling that birds are a little bit annoying and somewhat pests, and I admit I don't understand that viewpoint, but I do want to recognize that. But this is an opportunity for all of us to think about things a little bit differently in our world. We have had quite the year so far, and it's not over. I hope that many of us have taken the time to pause and reflect on the fragility of life, of the human race, and of the earth itself. And I hope in those reflections you've had some hope for a better planet. And a better planet means better things for humans and healthier ecological resources, healthier natural environments. So birds are a part of all of that. You can't avoid birds when we're talking about ecology and conservation or anything of the sort. Now, I'm not saying you can ignore anything else. You can't ignore a marmot over here or a fish over there or a fly over there. You can't ignore anything. But birds are just a big part of that. And they are very vibrant, and they're very active. And despite the annoying, I say this is an annoying term, bird brain, no, birds are very intelligent. Some of them are wildly intelligent. And despite dinosaurs and birds being in the same group here, dinosaurs evolving into birds, the modern birds that live today, a modern crow could outthink probably just about any dinosaur. I'm forced to admit that, as much as my paleontological soul does not wish to. But birds are fantastic. I mean, just take a moment to watch them. Some of them are brightly colored. They have mating dances, and you hear birds making noises all the time, and that's them talking and communicating with each other. They often have elaborate mating dances. I don't think I'll ever forget being in a undergrad class, biology class once, and part of our field trip for that class was actually our local zoo. And I was with my lab supervisor. There was this peacock. So it's peacock is a male, the peahen is a female. A peacock. You've all seen it. Blue-green, metallic. Tuft of feathers on its head, and then a big fan of feathers on its back end. They get in the way of everything it does in life, trailing behind it, except when it wants to dance, or when it wants to display. And I had this peacock come right up to me, and from just a few feet away, actually fan out its tail feathers and do this little dance. I knew that peacocks had two dances. One was to attract a mate. Basically, it's a I like you, come here dance, come hither dance. And the other is a rival dance. So you're in my territory, you're a rival male maybe, I just don't like you and I want you gone. I couldn't tell the difference between the two dances, right? So I got very, very concerned for a moment, and turned to my lab supervisor and asked her, please tell me that is a go-away dance, not a come-hither dance. She tells me, it's okay, Spencer. That is a go-away dance. He does not like you. So I tried to convince this poor peacock that I was not there to steal his territory, his water, his food, his girl, whatever he was concerned I was going to steal. But he did not listen, and I backed down, and I reinforced that behavior for him, that it was very useful to, posture and display in that way. That's just one little thing about birds that we all can look at and watch. I mean, if you have the opportunity, if you have the ability, I know some of us don't, apartments, what have you. I've done that before too, but get some bird feeders if you can. That's amazing because that brings the birds right to you. I love the resources from the Audubon Society, and they have official bird feeders, official bird houses, official bird seed and everything, because there is bad bird seed out there. But there's plenty of guides for all these kind of things online. There are books and things you can get. There are so many things you can do. I myself like to do bird watching a little bit simply, so I have some binoculars here. They're actually a pair of Orions, which are really used for stargazing. If you don't want to do a telescope, which I don't always want to do something like that, so I actually use these for some very simple stargazing and mostly bird watching. And I would highly recommend you get a bird guide. Now, a very experienced birder, I had the opportunity of knowing some time ago, recommended this to me when I was just getting started bird watching, and this is also it's published by Alfred A. Knopf, and it's in association with the Audubon Society again, but it is written and illustrated by David Allen Sibley. He's got a ton of books. This is actually an older edition. You can see it's a little bit worse for wear because this is in my backpack, which I take with me whenever I'm in the mountains or hiking or anything like that, or out digging for fossils. I always carry this with me. But just about any decent bird guide is going to suit your needs. You don't have to get one of these. I like these because they're just amazing, and it's filled with so many things. This is the Western North America one. You can get one that is more in line with your area. And I also like these Write in the Rain hardback journals. You can get a softcover one too, but it's waterproof, and so is this pen. This is waterproof ink, and I like to record my observations in here, anything I see or run into, and it's not just birds. I do other sorts of things that I encounter as well. Insects are a big thing that I love, but there's so many things you can get into. You can, if you're a little bit limited, you don't have to use binoculars. That's a cost that you don't have to embark on. You don't have to do bird feeding. Just watch birds. You're going to see them at some point. Get some books if you can. If you can't, that's fine. Watch some videos online. You can listen to bird calls, bird lectures, all sorts of wonderful things. A lot of my friends use the eBird app. You can record your bird sightings on your phone, so there's another marvelous resource for bird watchers. The smartphone, and it's okay if you do this casually. I have lots of things to spend my time on and do, and bird watching is not something I get to do nearly as much as I like. So I don't think I could be called an experienced hardcore birder, birding versus bird watching. I'm probably more in the amateur bird watching category there, but that's okay. You can make this your main one hobby or a career if you want to go into ornithology or avian care or something. Or you can just do a little hobby on occasion. It's nice, and you can watch birds and like, what's that bird over there? What's that bird? And try and figure out and learn your local birds. And when you get to the point when you can actually start to identify, that's a flicker there, or that's a this kind of gull, whatever you have in your area, or that's a house sparrow. That's a warbler. This is a black-capped chickadee. I get those in my yard a lot, and I love them. When you get to be able to do those things, it's it makes it so much more fulfilling and worthwhile, in my opinion. You might love to see a little quail bobbing along, but when you can say that's a California quail, that's pretty spiffy, in my opinion. But just think about these things. There are lots of things you can do. You can watch a bird documentary. There's no limit to the things you can do with birds. So just think about that. Go to your local zoo if you have the opportunity. I know things are a little bit difficult right now, but a lot of zoos and places are having a lot of electronic content, videos and the sorts. I have been privileged to be a part of the Tracy Aviary here in Salt Lake City in my life, and they have produced a ton of content. It's actually one of only 2 dedicated aviaries in the country. You have aviaries attached to zoos and things like that, and private ones, but it's that and the National Aviary in Philadelphia. Those are the only 2. So if you ever get the chance to come through Utah or Salt Lake, I highly recommend visiting Tracy Aviary. But just about any zoo will have birds, and it's there are birds everywhere. Watch them, learn about them, and take a moment to relax and think what life might be like for a bird. And I like to do that, and makes me slow down and reflect a little bit. And I think that's something all of us could use right now, and I think it's something all of us can do more, even in normal life, and that includes myself pointing the finger right back at me. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and let me know in the comments what you already do with birds, if you're thinking about doing something with bird watching, or anything about birds. And thanks again, guys. I'll be back next time.